Some of this stuff that people be touting out here in the mainstream concerning firearms and guns and of course, you know, a lot of times when you hear about an adolescent or someone who's young that has literally lost their life, they don't tell you that the numbers that come from that mostly come from what they classify as children, 17 years old and younger. And of course, a lot of those deaths are related to some type of drug or gang violence. But I can tell you right now, let me see, my children are 32 and 29. 32 and 29, right? Matter of fact, they only got a couple of months here. They'll be 33 and 30. But my son and my daughter, they both grew up around guns all of their lives. All of their lives. In every single room, there was one or two weapons, be it a rifle or pistols. And they would sit. They were in bedrooms, they were in living rooms, they're in the kitchen, bathrooms. I mean, it's guns everywhere in my house. And somebody said, y'all not to have guns around children. Well, I did not lock one gun up. Not a one. From my children. And mind you, I started training them with firearms and them becoming very proficient and them learning how to shoot very, very well at 6 and 7 years old. By the time they were 10 and 7, 13 and 10, by the time they were that age, they were very proficient with firearms. They knew about firearms. They knew the danger of firearms and what it could do. They treated and they approached every single weapon, even if they knew that it was unloaded. They always treated it all of them as if they were loaded, because they were taught very well. And when you take them out to the range, and of course we live out in the country, we have our own makeshift range, and then you let them shoot all these different firearms, and they loved it, just loved shooting. They could be out there all day long shooting. But when you take them out there and you educate them and you let them see what firearms can do and you teach them, you never, ever, ever point this particular weapon at anything you're not willing to eliminate or destroy. You know, you have to educate these, just what everybody always taught in this country right here. Education. We had education. Don't get me wrong. You can have education and stuff, but I'm telling you, it's not going to replace practical, hands-on knowledge and practical, hands-on doing. It just simply ain't going to do it. And we never had an issue. I taught them how to respond if someone comes into the house at night unannounced. I taught them how to clear rooms. I taught them what the capabilities of a firearm and what it can do in close quarters combat. I spent time with them, and now they have their own firearms. And believe you me, they're very careful with those firearms. And I think the problem of today is that when you got all these people out there in the news media talking about how evil guns are. And I told you, I remember a few years ago when they started using vehicles running over people. There ain't nobody trying to ban vehicles. Nobody. They're not trying to ban vehicles. And they're not trying to ban knives. Only these firearms. Because see, with a firearm, it's called to reach out and touch you. You don't have to be that close to someone to be able to defend yourself. And of course, the government, if it wants total control, and have absolute power, they know you have to disarm the citizenry. And anytime you try to disarm a population that is very armed, it always ended up in trouble in America. Now, the majority of the world, these citizens, they can't do nothing. They're just at the total controlling power of the state. But I tell you, this right here, it used to be the sword out there in the world. It used to be the sword. But this right here, this is one of the last bastions of freedom and liberty for you to be able to defend yourself on this earth. It's more lethal than a sword. It's more lethal than a knife. But I can tell you what, me and Gideon was talking about this the other day, man. You probably would rather get shot by a round than get stabbed with a sword or a knife. I'm telling him, boy, whoo-wee. But anyway, and mind you, he has a purple heart. But if people, especially, us law-abiding citizens, if they would just simply educate their children, you can leave firearms laying around all over the place because they have respect for them. They won't touch them. Mine would never, ever touch those firearms unless it was necessary. If I asked them, could you bring me this gun? I would do it to test them. And they will always, I taught them how to carefully hold it. I always taught them how to not put your finger on the trigger. All of it. And it bode well for me. And I'm going to tell you again, we had guns in every single room, including the bathroom, everywhere. Now, some people say, well, y'all paranoid. How can you be so paranoid when you are prepared to protect yourself? I mean, what if I'm gone? And how many, I just saw a video the other day that there was this woman at home. She had a 2-year-old. She's at home. And 4 guys been watching her for weeks. 4 guys busted in her home. And it was one of them's birthday. Because, criminals are pretty damn ignorant. But anyway, they busted in her home late night in her apartment. And they proceeded to gang rape her all night long. And she screamed out, but then she said that she didn't want to scream because she didn't want to wake up her 2-year-old child. Well, you should have damn screamed all over the place. Because now, don't get me wrong, I understand the reason why she's saying it because, the child going off and everything. But you should scream and everything else. But watch this. Watch this now. They proceeded to gang rape her. Put her on her stomach and gang rape. Took turns with her all night long. And of course, she went to the police. Police, what they gonna do? And even still to this day, these cats ain't never been caught. Never been caught. 4 or 5 guys just taking turns on this woman. Now, Pastor Dowell has some advice for all you out there. What if somebody came into the house and you had a firearm at a strategic location in the living room? You had one by your nightstand. She was on her bed getting gang raped. And I can only imagine the trauma from that. Because when I hear stuff like that, it does something inside of me. It really does. And boy, see, I'm not the type of person that needs to walk up on a situation like that. I promise you I ain't. Because it's not going to bode well. It's not going to bode well. There have been 4 people that's going to sleep for a very long time. But if she would have had a firearm, because that one woman could have easily controlled all 4 of them with one firearm. Sure could have. But I would have taught her to eliminate all 4 of them. All 4 of them. She could have not went through the trauma of being raped. Her child could have been protected. But see, people, they get these ideals in their head and they get these ideals in their mind that guns are evil. Look, I can't tell you how many times, and I've got guns all around. I can't tell you how many times I had these guns and I asked them, I've insulted these firearms. I asked them to jump up off the table and shoot me. I called them all kind of names and they just won't do nothing. They literally won't do nothing. And I have to go through those extreme measures to show people that the guns in themselves are not evil. It's evil people that use them the wrong way. But what if someone is a good person, a just person, and we know no one's good, but what if they're a decent person and they want to use it for their self-defense? That's the perfect weapon to have. So one thing that people got to do is stop listening to all these people out there that have all these alternative mindsets that have been mesmerized and taught against guns. I mean, you think about, again, I remember going to public food system, and the only thing I ever learned about the Constitution of the United States of America is when I was watching Schoolhouse Rock as a little bitty child. That's the only thing I knew about the Constitution, because they never talked about it in public school, elementary, junior high, or high school. Never. And when I got into the military, I couldn't quote you one damn line of this Constitution. So the majority of people that go in the military, they have no idea what the Constitution says. They don't know they don't even know what it's about. Now, how is it that those men way back then understood the necessity of us as a people to be able to have firearms? See, what you have to do is you're going to have to burn the midnight oil. That means you're going to expend the time, the energy, and the effort to educate. To educate children, sons and daughters. You're going to have to spend some time. And once they get it, they got it. You don't have to worry about a negligence discharge. You don't have to worry about what's going to happen, because I'm telling you, my home was pretty dang secure. We slept sound at night. And mind you, I can't tell you how many times we slept so sound at night that we didn't even lock the front or the back door. Think about that. And we even went over scenarios of what to say, how to move, and what to do if any of us suspected that someone was in the house. We even went through drills like that to know how to respond so there won't be a crossfire from hell, because, you know, in a lot of these homes today, bullets will go straight through sheetrock. See? And once you have that type of experience and training, it removes all fears. It removes all fears. Every single one of them. So, I mean, you can just about manipulate anything you want at any given time. And in a lot of instances that's going on today, and especially with the way that the news media fear mongers, I'm going to tell you right now, fear in the day and the time and the hour that we live in is a luxury that none of us can afford. And that's the truth. And that's the truth straight away. You want to hear more? I got a little Patreon channel down here. I talk about a lot of stuff that I just simply don't talk about on YouTube. Tired of censorship.